Hey guys, so I got a video on one of my personal guns, so you probably never would think that I would have a Thompson, right? Well, you thought wrong. So when I was growing up, this was like my favorite gun in general. Just in general, out of any of the guns, I was obsessed with the Thompson. I wasn't really into like whole World War II type stuff. I was just obsessed with the gun for some reason. Don't know why. And I remember going to a surplus store when I was probably 13 or so, and wanting to buy one of these, and basically they couldn't get them in. And I went there like over the course of a year. I probably went there 6 times just to check in, because the surplus store was over by my grandparents. So when I'd stay with them, I would always go in there. So probably about 6 times that year, and to see if they would have it in stock, because they said they had a special ordered or something like that. And it never came in. Long story short, I ended up just purchasing some other gun. Just ended up just buying some other gun. You just forget about it, whatever. And then I grew up and just, I continued playing Airsoft, of course, because now I'm here. But I just lost interest in this gun in particular. Well, one of my friends said he had one, and he said he bought it for $60. And I was like, why? Like, why? I was like, you wasted your money, pretty much. Well, he ends up trading it to me to work on 2 of his guns. Or one of his guns. I ended up working on 2 of his guns and not charging for the work for 2 of them. So in the end, it was well worth it, considering he's, $60 for the gun. Split it up between the work on 2 guns, $30 a piece. That's pretty much generally what I charge anyway. So it was about even, is what it ended up being. But, it was kind of like deja vu, because I remember wanting this gun so badly when I was younger and never getting it. So I think this is the King Arms version. They have the Cyma. This, I believe, is the King Arms version. They're very, very similar from what I've heard. This one is compatible with standard gears. There are some of them that are not compatible with certain gears, and I don't know if that's the Cyma or the older version. I think there was an older version that had proprietary gears, and then they came out with a version that is produced now with version 2 gears, version 2, version 3, standard gears pretty much. And that's what's in here. So I was super psyched to find out that these take standard gears, because I could just buy a set of standard SHS gears for $20. So I was hype about that, so that I didn't have to spend like $100 on siege techs. So let's just start from the front. It's got a metal front end. Somebody had painted over this. There was an orange tip here, and they painted over it, and it's like this paint that kind of, I don't know, it's falling apart. It's like rubbery paint. I ripped the orange tip out anyways. It was not hard whatsoever. I just needed a pair of pliers. The whole front end here is metal. The wood here is fake. It's kind of disappointing that it's fake. I think they do make real wood versions, but they're more expensive, and I think you can only buy them overseas, but you can have them shipped to the U.S., of course. So fake wood. There is a sling mount here. I took it off. There was a sling mount back here, too. I took that off. The whole top is completely metal. Now, as far as what metal, it's like a pot metal. It's it's not CNC aluminum. It's a cheap metal. It's, a Chinese gun. It's not the best quality, so be careful with it. Don't drop it. Apparently, these are known for cracking up here, from what I've heard. There's a small Allen wrench here holding that together, and then there's also this 2 flatheads here holding that front end together. So it is brittle. I've heard if you drop it straight down, you can do some damage there. There is a website. I'll plug them in here. What are they called? I'll put the link in the description. I'll try to do that. They sell Thompson parts. It's a company out of, I think it's a shop or a field or both, out of Wisconsin, and they sell a lot of Thompson parts. Now I broke the motor cage, because the motor that I got had this, the ASG motor had this like CNC ring around it, and so when I try to basically put the motor into the housing, the motor cage, it ended up pushing down too much and actually bending the motor height adjustment. So I tried to bend it back and it just snapped. I took that washer off of the motor. I had to take the pinion gear off with the pinion tool, and then just ditch that. I don't know what it was. It's just a round CNC part. If you look at pictures of the 40K boosts, it has this just weird ring, which I don't know why it's there. In this particular gun, it could not be there. I would figure in a lot of, like, even AKs, you'd have to take that off. So I don't know why it's there, to be honest. So I took that off, and I contacted the company. It took them about a week to get back to me. I had sent them 2 emails. They got back to me, and because they sell the motor with the motor cage for like $40, $35 or $40 plus shipping, I believe. I'm not paying that for a motor cage and then a stock crappy motor. I didn't need the crappy motor because this already had the crappy motor in it, and I spent $40 on a new motor. So I messaged, I emailed them. Like I said, I had to send them 2 emails. They finally messaged me back, and they said, "Oh, we'll check. We'll check in our tech department and see if we have just a motor cage." As if probably 4 days later, I got a message back. I said, thanks for checking. It'd be great if I could find one standalone. And then it was like 3 or 4 days later, they emailed me back and said, yes, one of our techs found one, a loose one. So they're like, what was it? 11 something, and then 7 ships. $7.05 was shipping. So the total was $19.95. So basically $20 shipped for a motor cage. I was happy with that. I got it today. I was totally happy with that instead of spending twice the amount on with a crappy motor. Didn't need the crappy motor. So thanks to them for that. It was nice that they could find just that piece to sell me. They also sell a lot of other Thompson parts. I considered just grabbing some more stuff. I consider replacing the stock. I still am considering replacing the stock. I am considering replacing the hop-up too, but it works fine, so I think I'm just going to leave it as is. I don't plan on messing with this, and this gun's not going to be used a whole lot. This is going to be strictly an outdoor gun that I use like probably twice a year. But yeah, the whole upper's metal. It's one just solid piece. The lower's plastic, which I kind of find disappointing. The real one's obviously not plastic, but it is what it is. The sights here are, adjustable. You can pull it up and put it to the side. I just have it right in the middle all the way down. You can line it up with the front sight, just basic, Thompson sights. Charging handle here just doesn't really do anything. It's just for looks. The hop-up's right here, and you can adjust it without pulling this back. You can also adjust it through the mag well if your mag's out, which is honestly pretty cool. Pistol grip is a little bit creaky. Can you hear that? It's loose, so it sounds kind of, yeah. I don't like the sound of that. I was thinking about, there was tape around it when I got it, and I was like, oh, I could put tape around it again, but then the tape kind of sticks out, and it doesn't look as good. So I don't know. I'll just leave it as is. It's just creaky. It's fine, honestly. Trademarks. It actually has some trademarks. There's the Thompson logo, U.S. property. On this side, it says made in Hong Kong, which kind of sucks, but then it's got more trademarks. And then it's got some on the other side as well. It does say 6mm, so it's not super realistic. If they took the Hong Kong and the 6mm out, it would be pretty close to the real one. The modes on the gun are really interesting. The magazine catches right here, so you cannot do your quick reloads. No such thing. When the magazine is in and you push the mag release button up, the magazine's not going to fall, I'm pretty sure. Maybe with ammo in there, no, it's not going to fall. Even with the little bit of spring pressure on the magazine, it's not going to fall. So you can't really do quick reloads or anything like that. It's basically, you got 2 hands, take it out, put a new one in. That's basically how it has to be. The selector switch systems, there's 2 different systems. So fire here, and then safe. So that's a different switch. And then here is single, and then full auto. So like on your traditional M4 or even an AK, it would be safe semi-auto on the same switch instead of 2 different switches. So that's just the period. It's period correct. That's just what they had back in World War II. So it is what it is, We've come a long way, fortunately. As far as internals, I'm actually using the stock wiring. There's a to-me connector here that connects, but I wired this to Dean's. There's a fuse here, which I'm kind of concerned about popping. I might be throwing a MOSFET in here. We'll see. I kind of wanted to avoid that because the way it works is it's pretty proprietary, and I kind of just wanted to not mess with the headache of wiring it with a MOSFET. So, I don't know. We'll see. Again, I'm not going to use this gun a whole lot. As far as other internals, it's got the ASG 30K boost motor, short type. As far as the gearbox, it's got SHS 12-to-1 gears, standard gears, which is super nice that those were able to be used. It's got a Lone X sector chip. The shimming is pretty good. They may be a little tight, unfortunately. The way I don't even have many shims on the gearbox itself on any of the gears because it was just tight in general. The gear or the bushings in here are 6mm, but they're steel. They're solid steel. So I'm proud to say that those are not going to break. Even if they're Chinese made, they're old, you know, it's basically what SHS is going to be, you know, producing. It's very similar. Some of them, at least they used to come with plastic bushings from what I've seen on older videos. I can inform you that they are metal now. Again, this gun's actually pretty old itself. I think this gun's probably 3 years old, so I think they've been making them with metal bushing, with steel bushings for a while, but I can't confirm. I'm not an expert on these guns. Nor most people don't use these guns. Let's be honest, you don't see these all that often. Other internals, it's got a SHS metal rack piston. It is not the pre-lightened. It's the blue one, but it's not pre-lightened. What else? I have a Lonex cylinder head. It's aluminum. It's the green one. Because I just figured plastic one's really, really old, blah, 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 you know, whatever. I did not put a sorbo pad on here because it's a thick shell. It's a version 6, so the shell is thick, so I was like, there's no reason to put it on there. I'm fine. This is kind of a cheap gun. I just did a cheap, quick build. I replaced the cylinder with a steel one. It's a silver. I prefer that because when I pull the charging handle back, I just don't like the brass color. So I have the steel color look. So I don't know. Very, very cosmetic. Something that's so tiny, so minuscule. But I just like, you know, when I pull it back, I can see the blue piston in there actually. And then the silver instead of the kind of goldish brass. I didn't really care for that. Also, this port is back about a ½ inch compared to the other one. So a little bit more voluming, which is what I wanted. Pretty much all the other parts are stock. So stock nozzle. I don't think it has an O-ring. So it's losing a little bit of compression there. It's not perfect compression. Stock type of plate spring, stock spring guide if I didn't already say that. And then the spring in here is the ZCI M120. That's pretty much it for the internals. So as far as rate of fire, we're getting about 27, 29 rounds a second with a 11.1. I'm using a beefy 11.1. This is a 2000, 15 to 25 C. Not high C rating, so it's hopefully not going to melt my trigger contacts. But it's high milliamps, so it'll last a long time. The trigger contacts in here are stock. They are in good shape. I took them apart and everything. I took the housing apart and I looked at them, and there was a little bit of rub, and you know, you could tell there was wear. I wiped it down, cleaned it, and it looks good. So then I put it back together, and we're going to use it as is. We're just going to use it with no MOSFET. Like I said, I'm not going to play with this all that often. This gun is just kind of to have, honestly, just to look at. And then the butt plate here. So this butt plate, I have it threaded in here, so it's holding this thing together, so it's not going to pop out. But when I close it, you close the latch, it'll pop off like that. You see that? I hate that, and it's because there's this little latch right here that holds here, and it ended up breaking the plastic here, and so now it just kind of falls off. All right, so let's go ahead and chrono it. Got the chrono set for 0.2s. 389, 375, that was a drop, 388, 388, 377, 377, 375, 375, 385, 385, 380, 380, 387, 379, 384, 381, 381. It's kind of all over the place. It gets like 2 good consistent shots, and then it goes down, 2 good consistent shots, then it goes up, 2 good consistent shots. It's weird. 383, 383, 380, 384, 378, about 380, 378, 392, 381, 374. It's kind of all over the place. 374 is like the lowest it's getting. That's 1.3 joules with a 0.2, so that's still pretty good there. Okay, 394. That's the high reading that I'm getting out of it, and that is 1.44 joules. So to recap, it's not the most consistent, but the high readings are 1.4 joules. The low readings are 1.3 joules. 1.3 is about 375, and then the 1.4 is about 390. So that's that. Let's go ahead and test rate of fire. I don't know how much ammo I have left in here. 27.4, 387 round or FPS, so 27 rounds a second. 1.4 joules is what it's reading with the 0.2, so it's shooting pretty good. It's very, very consistent. Like, all those BBs are hitting in the exact same spot. which is nice. As far as range on the gun, it's really not shooting that far. I'd say max range is probably 170 feet, whereas most of my guns shoot 200. And I mean, you can hear it hit those trees and stuff. It's actually putting out some pretty good power. There's a few BBs left, but it's at the end of the magazine and it starts skipping. I mean, as you can see, feeding's perfect. When it gets to the end of the magazine, again, is when it starts to skip. And trust me, this magazine is really, really old. Yeah, mag's out. It's out. So trigger response is not bad. It's out already. Again, feeding is, not awful. I did try 2.5s, and it seems to feed the same. It's just a really, really old magazine. But as you can see here, I mean, it shoots. Feeding's not bad. Pretty much dumped the whole thing, so. And who knows, the magazine could have been left loaded for a long time, too. But, never know. So consistency on semi-auto is pretty good. Just as good as full auto. We're out already. Alright, so I got new stock. Just thought I'd shoot it a little bit more with the new stock on there. Pretty much looks the same. There's a little, some scuffs on it here and there. My other one had some scuffs on it. The biggest thing is the butt plate. This butt plate does not come off. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.